Now, those of you who were here last week realize that I am preaching a short series on the topic of navigating the technological age. I'm looking at the time, and people are laughing because sometimes it takes me a little while to get through what I'm going to say. And probably today is going to be one of those times. So you'll just have to bear with me, and if you have a roast in the oven, I hope you like it well done. Now, last week, what I'm going to do here, just for you, the Rideau Park people, really thrilled to have you here with us. I'm looking at where technology is now and what's coming over the horizon and how it's impacting us. And then I'll close off with how we may respond to this as communities of faith in the 21st century. So this is not, if you're looking for the lectionary readings to go with this, good luck. It's not there. Have you ever done that, Steve? Huh? Have you ever diverted? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Steve and I worked together at Presbytery, and when he was chair and I was acting Presbytery minister, we had a very interesting journey. Did we not, Steve? We sure did. Now, one thing that I do here is that I introduce people to paintings. Now, this is Wassily Kandinsky, a Russian painter, and as you recall, last week I introduced this one because this is his expression of the industrialization that was taking place in the early 1900s, the early 20th century. So this is fairly impressionistic, as you can see. Actually, it's quite abstract. And so there were quite a few things happening in the 1900s, Sigmund Freud and others, that were coming onto the scene and bringing about significant change. But today, I want us to look at Turner for a moment. Turner, a British painter, one of my favorites. I love Turner. He's really great. This one's called Rain, Steam, and Speed. And as you can see, this was painted in 1844. I really wasn't around then. But this was his take on industrialization. And you have to appreciate that the train, it's kind of hard to see that, but the train was, in 1844, was still fairly new to the industrialized world, okay? And it was probably one of the more potent symbols of industrialization, a notion of the violence of this hulking iron monster ripping through the landscape, and probably was very, very loud. Up to this point in history, people had traveled either by foot or by what? Horse. That's right, horse. Which wasn't necessarily really fast. Horse-drawn carriages perhaps could go a little quicker. I'm not quite sure. But when the locomotive brought in speed like people had never experienced before in their lives. So I'm likening this to the technological age in which we're living, which is indeed a revolution. There isn't any question. Now, you can't really see this, but here in the field, right there you find a farmer plowing the ground, and the plow being drawn by two horses, okay? So there's a juxtaposition here between the agricultural times and the new industrial revolution. But also, something else that is rather interesting, because when this, among other paintings, were first viewed at one of the galleries in London, Turner was there, and there was a little boy standing there looking at his painting. The paintings were being varnished before display. And he drew his attention to a small hair, as in a rabbit. And it's really hard to see, like right now. I think it's right there. There is a small hair that is running towards the oncoming train. And he drew his attention to that because his viewpoint was an encroaching technology. So he felt compelled to point that out. Since antiquity, the hair has symbolized rebirth and hope. And by going small in the emblem of the hair, an artist famous for going big transforms his painting into a poignant tribute and meditation on the fragility of life. Now, let me give you a quick recap of some of the things that I shared last week. I read this on June 4th in Globe and Mail, and here we have the age in which we live. Now, Apple is one company in the world. How many here have iPhones? Raise your hands. Okay, they're ubiquitous, okay? And the rest of you have Androids, right? Okay, version thereof. Okay, so this particular person said that Apple boasts of having 20 million developers worldwide that are creating apps for Apple devices. That's a lot of people. And I tried to, last week, I said, let's wrap our minds around how many people this is. That's the population of Norway, Sweden, and Finland combined. And that's one company creating devices for that which you carry around in your pocket. Okay, then we went on to talk about smartphones. Most of you have a smartphone. And we talked about how that, in a not too distant future, smartphones will become our personal doctor, our personal banker, and our personal butler, by virtue of what they will know about us and how they will be able to advise us without being prompted. The technology exists for this now. It does. It exists. The smartphone will intuitively make decisions on behalf of its owner. Smartphones will reflect their owners acting on their desires, calculating their present needs based on past conduct. All of that information is being processed by that little computer in that phone that you carry in your pocket or your purse. Now, I did talk a little bit about the dark side of this technology last week. With every advancement, there's always a dark side. Lots of good, and we're going to get to that, so don't panic. A smartphone will, with enhanced AI, and what is that? There you go. Could have dystopian state control possibilities. Now, our David Edelman is at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Also was a special advisor to President Barack Obama. They talk about a social credit score, and this is where I left off last week, a social credit score. What does that mean? There's already concern that smartphones allow pervasive surveillance. Now, a social credit score would enable the device to keep track of individuals, and people would gain or lose points for such conduct as impaired driving, paying fines late. Nobody here has ever done that. Posting fake news on social media. These are things that this technology could actually set up, this social credit score, that the individuals who are being surveilled would be getting a score. Edelman says future smartphones might enable a variation. He says reduced scores could result in being blocked from purchasing plane or train tickets or using public transit. He says that smartphones might enable a variation. Individuals might have social scores and lose points if they interact with unpopular or dissident individuals. Your phone will know with whom you are in contact, and you could have your score lowered, and there would be appropriate or punishment for that. And it's a way of isolating dissidents without imprisoning them. This kind of technology is being used as we speak in China. And he says that all the groundwork is there for this to become a reality, and that the question is whether populations are docile enough to permit that from becoming political enslavement. Now, that's the dark side, okay? I want to talk to you about the many benefits. Willie Selkirk, I visited this week in the hospital. Willie is a member of our congregation. He worked 25 years for the government. Since age 18, he has been in a wheelchair as a quadriplegic. He has use of his arms a bit, and we talked about technology this week at his bedside. And he said, without technology, my life would be absolutely unbearable. Here's a man who, for all his life, has been a quadriplegic. He is our a webmaster here at the church. He takes care of a lot of the technology. He's also quite an artist. And now he used to do art with a brush holding it in his mouth, which is quite spectacular. But also now he uses a ball and a computer, and he creates beautiful art. Marvelous things. The medical achievements that technology have brought to us are beyond belief. Many of you have benefited from that. Other things like carbon capture, where carbon dioxide can be removed from the atmosphere and converted to useful purposes, or stored in empty gas or oil cavities below ground in the North Sea. These are some of the advancements that technology is bringing us as we look at climate change and what we are facing. And some of these advancements are coming from scientists in British Columbia that are being world-renowned for this thing of carbon capture. So the exploration of space, everyday convenience we now enjoy due to technology advancement are too numerous to number. Let me just rattle off a few here. Email, Facebook, FaceTime, Instagram, iPad, iPhone, Androids, WhatsApp, Twitter, Messenger, Blogger, Skype, Zoom, Snapchat, Google Maps, GPS, Pinterest, Netflix, YouTube, iCloud, Google Play, Google Docs, Kindle, PlayStation, Xbox, e-banking, eBay, and let us not forget Kijiji. And this is just a trickle of all the advancements that we now enjoy as a part of our everyday life. So the conveniences are numerous and ubiquitous. Our culture has been transformed by this. Those of us who have been around for a number of decades have witnessed these staggering changes that are occurring at an increasing rate of knots. It's not slowing down, it's speeding up. Wait for 5G, which you've all heard about. Now, amidst all of the benefits, technology has become quite intrusive. Quite intrusive. Okay? Cell phone etiquette, for one thing, should be taught in school, and there should be school for adults in that regard. And the intrusiveness and the need for etiquette in the workplace, teaching where and when cell phones could be used. They do truly interfere with person-to-person communication. Now, you've all experienced that. You've sat around with family members, and rather than talking, people are scrolling and texting and taking calls. That's part of the culture in which we live. Now, in Toronto, the food industry is trying to come to terms with some of this. I want to show you a few things. Now, phone cubbies. Now, in the restaurant in Toronto known as Sarah, S-A-R-A, they have phone cubbies built into the tables where they can store 4 cell phones at a time out of sight for the duration of the meal. All right, it's true. Now that arrow right here is pointing to where that is, right there. Boom. Okay? And the lid is made of over an inch of quartz, as is the table. And so, for the duration of the meal, you don't have to be worrying about texting or taking a phone call. You can actually have a conversation without interruption. Now, this is Speakeasy 21, which is a fashionable restaurant in the financial district in Toronto, where they have installed 1940s-style phone booths where you can go and actually have your conversation. It's truth. It's truth. See? That's what it is. Telephone. And people are invited to leave their tables, and if they must converse, then they can do it there. How about that? Here's another one. This is a restaurant called Ottawa, to you. They have a no photo policy. So when you come in, this is where you put your phone. You get a number and you leave it there. And when it's time to leave, you pick up your phone. Sounds like a secure area, doesn't it, there, Don? But that's some of the things that are happening. Oh, I've got all kinds of time yet. This is great. Okay, now I want to, online shopping. How many people here shop online? See your hands. Oh my goodness. How about that, eh? Online shopping. It's revolutionizing how people make many of their purchases. Now, have you noticed in your online shopping, that after you've been browsing, what happens? Exactly. You are getting unsolicited ads relating to where you have been. 1984. Somebody's watching. Okay. How about that, huh? They appear on your screen. Now, I want to talk about Walmart. I'm not picking on Walmart. I'm just talking about Walmart. Okay, and because this relates to places like Loblaws as well. I want to talk about grocery shopping. I'm going to get to something spiritual here after a while, okay? I'm just setting this up, okay? Work with me, people. Okay, now, one of the Walmart supercenters in Toronto's West End, it's one of these giant places. They have recast the space as its latest versions of its store of the future. So they're redesigning it. And what they're doing here, they're looking to marry online with physical shopping. It's a marriage of the two. It allows customers to scan their purchases as they're picked off the shelf using the app on their phone. Okay? On their mobile device. Which, by the way, keeps a tally of their purchase amounts. They bag their own purchase in carts that are now being designed with hooks to keep the bags open, to make it easier to put your products in the bag. And they have a large area for exiting, nice and wide. They call it their fast lane, where you can scan your app on the way out and get the total charge to your credit card. That's already here. That's starting to happen. So shoppers who don't use the scan and go, as they're calling it, can still do more of their own checking out. But the store says the prototype store has shrunk in half to just 6, the number of lanes with an employee at the cash register, while doubling the number of regular self-checkouts to 18 from 9 previously. Now, you've all noticed this in the stores. These self-checkouts. Do you like them? Do you complain about it? Good. I don't like them either. I avoid them. They say they're there for our convenience. Do you believe that? They're there to put people out of work. Forgive me. They're there for the stockholders to make more profits. That's what that's all about. It can be convenient, but forgive me. I tend to be a bit of a cynic. Sorry. You'll have to forgive me. Now, one last series of slides that I want to share with you. Grocery targeting. Okay, grocery targeting. Imagine you're you are shopping in your favorite grocery store. As you approach the dairy aisle, you are sent a push notification in your phone, 10% off your favorite yogurt. Click here to redeem your coupon. You considered buying yogurt on your last trip to the store, but you decided against it. How did your phone know? How do they know? How does it know? Your smartphone was tracking you. The grocery store got your location, data, and paid a shadowy group of marketers to use that information to target you with ads. That is happening. It's already here. Recent reports have noted how companies use data gathered from cell towers, ambient Wi-Fi, and GPS, but something that is called Bluetooth beacons. Have you heard of that? Bluetooth beacons. It's here. That's what this thing is right here. Now, forgive me, ladies. This is a ladies' shoe store. I'm not picking on women and their shopping, honest. We guys go shopping, but usually have to have our significant other with us to help us if we want to dress properly for public. Okay. I know of what I speak. Bluetooth beacons. So these are beacons that connect with your cell phone to identify where you are and what you may be looking at. And in the process, sending you any kind of a coupon that might be an enticement to make a purchase. So here we have these shoes are quite something. Would you call those platform with stiletto heels? Is that what that is? Yes. Okay. I don't imagine any of you here really wear them, but maybe there was a time. Okay, now, so this person isn't even in the store yet. And so this is foot traffic. You're just walking by. The technology has the ability to target you. Okay. I'm getting close to the end, folks. These beacons are small, inobtrusive electronic devices that are hidden throughout grocery stores. They're now in grocery stores. You don't see them. You don't see it. An app on your phone that communicates with them informed the company not only that you had entered the building, but that you had lingered for 2 minutes in front of the low-fat yogurt. Okay. Now, these beacon systems, as they are called, are found in many places. I won't read those to you. You can. They're found everywhere. And they are becoming increasingly ubiquitous in the world in which we live, targeting us, not compelling, but enticing us to make purchases that they would like us to make. So in order to track you or trigger an action like a coupon, a message to your phone, companies need you to install an app on your phone that will recognize the beacon in the store. Okay? Now this is even getting trickier. In stores like Target and Walmart, we no longer have Target in Canada, that use Bluetooth beacons typically build these kinds of tracking devices into their own apps. So when you download the Walmart app, when you download it, you're downloading this kind of a beacon as well. It's embedded. Okay, so retailers want to make sure that most of their customers can be tracked, their customers. Okay, now let's just talk for a moment about a couple of companies that are out there doing this kind of business. Reveal Mobile collects data from software developing kits inside hundreds of frequently used apps. This company does this. But this one here is really interesting. This one's called In Market. Now, I'm using American data here, but we're kissing cousins, in case you haven't noticed, okay? So it's here, too. In Market, this company covers, they claim, 38% of millennial mothers, about 1/4 of all smartphones, and they track 50 million people a month. We have 37 million in our country. And other players are using similar reach, or have similar reach. 50 million a month. Now, mindset targeting. Techniques that predict when individuals are most receptive to ads. Oh dear. Income psychology. Okay. And they do this based on statistical probabilities calculated through millions of observations of human behavior. Computers now have that power and that ability, that they can process millions of observations that they're taking from you because of the device in your pocket. Okay, and other devices. Here's a couple companies that have benefited from this. I use Hellmann's. I'm not going to admit to Heineken. Okay, now lastly, let me just, I took this from, these are screenshots, or no, actually these are JPEGs. This comes out of the Globe and Mail. Beacon detects your smartphone. Now you can't really read this. Michael, am I on with this? You can hear me? Okay. Now, I want to show you the process, how this works. So here we have, the beacons are like little lighthouses that emit, this one right here, that emit one-way messages to nearby devices. So here, you see? And here is a woman, and here's her purse, and there's her cell phone, and she's in front of whatever product. The signals can be detected by apps on the person's phone, which can use the phone's operating system to scan for nearby beacons. If a beacon is detected, it can notify the app, even if the app is closed. Did you catch that? Once the app recognizes the beacon, it sends information like the products you walked by or the departments you lingered in back to the company's server. And so here's this guy here. Okay. Now he's a bald guy with gray hair. He's given us a bad name. Okay. Okay. And so, 4, foot traffic information can reveal personal details such as your income and exercise habits. When paired with other information about you, companies can build a rich profile of who you are, where you are, what you buy, all without your knowledge. The app can, number 5, the app can be prompted to display ads for products you seem likely to buy. It can send you a coupon after you leave, urging you to come back, a practice called retargeting. Oh my. I'm almost done. I feel so much better. Now, we're beginning to experience this kind of technology. It's coming over the horizon, as I said, at quite a rate of knots. It really is. Much of what I have talked about these last 2 weeks can pretty much be the reality within 10 years. Okay? So what does this hold for us? What may already be upon us? So I asked the question, here's the question I have for you today. What voice will religious communities of our culture have in an increasingly technological society? What voice are we going to have? What will be our witness in an age where technology and AI will continually render us redundant in increasing numbers in the workplace? Because that's coming too. Where the prospects of privacy of the individual may have been diminished further due to the intrusion of technology and the tracking of big business. How will we resist becoming religiously anachronistic, finding ourselves increasingly on the margin, deemed relics of a bygone era? First thing, be informed. That's what I'm trying to do here. Be informed. Be cognizant of what is happening around you. Educate yourself. Because this is your world. Can you imagine what it will be for your children and grandchildren? And in some instances, great-grandchildren. What it will be like for them. Be informed. The second thing, be engaged. Resist complacency. Resist it with everything that is within you. It may be that one of the greatest areas of Christian witness will be in supporting those in corridors of power who seek justice in limiting the excesses of those who, out of avarice and greed, seek to control the lives and livelihoods of ordinary citizens. Now, I'll tell you, we in the United Church of Canada know how to organize and know how to collaborate with others in bringing about effectual synergies for the common good. We've been doing that a long time, and we are good at it. Thank God. We know how to formulate and articulate incisive and convincing arguments in tempering those kinds of forces. I would encourage you to look at NGOs like the Council for Canadians, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. We have some tremendous NGOs that methodically and systematically challenge the greatest forces that we face in the world in which we live today, especially here in Canada. So I believe that as we are and make ourselves aware of what is transpiring around us and what is coming over the horizon in terms of our privacy, that we have a role to play as communities of faith all across the religious spectrum in this country in endeavoring to be a voice of reason and a force in our society for good. Lord, as we have discussed here today where we are in the world in which we live, we look for your guidance as we endeavor to be a voice, as we endeavor and as we consider those mechanisms that would cause us difficulty and at the same time bring so much good. Help us to come to terms with such dichotomies and recognize and embrace that which is good, but resist that which is not. So guide us, we pray. In Christ's name we ask it. Amen.